Did she speak to
it's
Sam?
15:30.
And I'll-
Well, very late
That's
today.
why I thought,
Very
yeah.
late.
Yeah, well,
And I wasn't sure, Curtis, she was gonna come in tonight or wait.
What's the title?
Computer operator?
Computer operator?
I don't think that the Ways and Means Committee certainly wants to take this up.
I'm gonna be too. Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Wait,
Get more.
just, we put in your box today, Bernie put in your box today, the annual report of the budget officer. As we mentioned earlier, we'll be having the bids on the 10th, and we'll go over them at 6:30. We'll also review this at 6:30 on Wednesday. That way it gives people time to look at it.
Mr. Russell, there's also a couple more transfers with the Homeland Security grant. Within the Homeland Security grant, I don't think you wrote this letter to the right people, so. But he wants to transfer $13,000 from.
Who does,
salary
Bernie?
account within there.
Bernie, who does?
Sheriff.
I couldn't see.
To other equipment for the narrow gauge and $15,000.
No, this is Ways and Means.
Transfer.
No.
Actually, I think it's the only one of these.
Bernie, can you restate that?
Yes, $13,014.34 from Homeland Security grant salaries to Homeland Security grant other equipment. Actually, only $11,000 goes to other equipment, and $1,199 goes to miscellaneous.
What's that for?
And then $13,000 from telephone to other equipment as well. That's for, that'll be for the radios, the new radios.
We need a motion. Second.
Second,
Who made the motion?
Jimmy and me.
Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
System.
Opposed? Carries. Anything else under Ways and Means?
Now I'll adjourn.
Motion to adjourn in Ways and Means by Dutch, seconded by Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. There you go. We done?
Any other committee meetings?
No.
Human Resources, call to order.
Okay, the first thing on the agenda is the country manor, and as we spoke to you in the past, that we were entertaining offers from folks. And we've had some discussions with various people. That was Dutch and I and Jimmy Bono and Dennis on occasion. So we did get a proposal that I think the legislature should certainly hear about. There are copies for all of you. And we can turn it over to Rob to discuss the highlights of it. Our purpose, obviously, was to try to keep the residents there, to have somebody look over them, as well as to try to sell the piece of property. Right now, we've only got one proposal.
We've only received one? Oh, I thought we already went to.
We have received letters of intent. We've asked them for proposals, and these are the proposals that came in. It's been one.
Only one received.
Right?
Yes, sir.
I think we talked to I think we talked to four companies.
But what we received from them was only letters of interest and not proposals? I just
Yeah,
wanted to know that.
or phone calls of interest.
Well, I thought something came in writing first, or maybe this is this term. Okay.
Well, a letter of intent or a letter of interest doesn't do us any bit of good until we can get something in writing so this legislature can.
Were they notified in writing what the deadline was to get things in, or was it all done verbally?
Say that again?
Were they notified in writing of the deadline to get things in, or was it all done verbally?
Jim, the question was, were these folks notified in writing to get the information in on a specific time, or was it all done verbally?
All done verbally.
I thought that was, I mean, I know it was verbal when I was there, but I didn't know if we did anything else.
And they said they were going to, but just didn't follow through, or they said they weren't going to? Again, I'm trying to get a flavor. We were here with 2, 3, then agreed to 3, and then a possibility of a fourth one. And now we only have 1. I'm curious what we got as feedback on why the others dropped away.
I think we need to go over this one and talk about the positive of this.
Will I get an answer to that at some point?
I don't know if I have the answers to it. I mean, many people said that they, you know, they didn't want to pay for that much for a building, and other people said that they wanted a huge amount of money from this legislature, and this legislature in previous times weren't interested in paying $1 million.
With all due respect, I'm just trying to get a handle on, if we had 4 people that were, 4 firms or whatever, that were interested at various points, and we got letters from some, but we never got.
You know that we got a letter of interest from VHS. Is that VHS?
Yes.
Nothing in writing from the other places. Except this.
Not that I know of, in terms of a direct proposal, is that correct?
We've had proposals, Mr. Russell, from just about all 4 of them as we've worked through the process. The problem is that as they've gone through the process themselves, I think I've said on this 4 or 5 times that Folsom basically backed out.
Right.
They just didn't think it was feasible to do. I think we've talked about the VHS proposal several times. It's a whole different proposal.
Yeah, I haven't heard any discussion here on the VHS proposal, unless you're talking the one that was a few years ago.
It's the same one.
Can I complete my
Yes.
statement? And then the last one, who we got a call from within the last day or so, we haven't had a chance to fill you in, is that the fact that they just don't think the building's worth what the appraisal is. And if things didn't work out, they'd be interested, Mr. Russell, in talking to you again.
Right. But this was the one that many of us were excited about to begin with, so your floor.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. If you look at the bottom of page 1, the proposal is for the land which is located on the east side of Route 28 only. The excess land on the west side of Route 28, which is where the sheriff's shooting range is not included. Right to page 2, on the purchase price, $335,000, which is the appraised value, our appraised value of that parcel on the east side of the road. So that's the proposal. However, that price is going to be paid in the form of a promissory note, and every year, 1/5 of that amount essentially would be forgiven, so that the amount, if they went out of business or transferred it, or defaulted in the contract, or sold the property, closed the facility, then it goes down by 1/5 each year, the amount that they would pay the county at that time. So if they close in the first year or sell to someone else, the payment would be $335,000, second year $268,000, third year $201,000, fourth year $134,000, fifth year $67,000. If they remain in business or don't default, sell, or close the facility within 5 years, there would be no payment, no additional payment to the county. They would not be assuming, I'm looking down, a lot of this is legal boilerplate. They'll have access to records as they need to in order to obtain the permits that they need. They would not assume any debt or liability. They're not bound by any of our collective bargaining agreements. They want to have the right to seek a 20-year tax abatement from the Industrial Development Agency or any other agency, so that's a condition. The next page, page 4, at the top, D, they're proposing the county would pay a transition fee of $18,000 a month for 1 year. F is very important. I know the legislature's been keying on this. Purchaser will agree to allow the residents existing at the facility to remain in the facility as long as their needs can be met in accordance with all state and federal health care regulations. H is important, it's 45 days. Once we sign an agreement, we have 45 days to satisfy or waive any conditions. They're responsible for all costs in connection with that, right to the last page, which is the closing. That would then take place 30 days after that. And finally, exclusivity. They're indicating that during these active negotiations, so once we sign the letter of intent and an asset purchase agreement, we will not be discussing or negotiating with any other party in connection with this asset sale. So once you agree to move forward, that they have their 45-day due diligence period and their 30 days to close, we would not be entertaining any additional. You want to turn this around? Yeah. This is a sale of county property. We have a local law that allows us to do this by a public or private sale. However, it would require a 2/3 vote. The legislature requires 12 votes. It's 2/3 of the voting power of the legislature. So the sale to the Senate would require 12 votes of this legislature if it were approved. And we're thinking that the procedure would be, if you are in favor of moving forward, to authorize the execution of a letter of intent and an asset purchase agreement that is in conformance with the letter of intent with the asset purchase agreement subject to my approval.
So I assume there's questions. Alan?
I appreciate perhaps some of you had an opportunity to read this, and then I can't digest it as quickly, so if I might be allowed to ask some
You
questions.
can. Actually, I saw it on my phone a couple days ago.
Is the, so what, am I hearing that if they stay in business for 5 years, they don't have to pay anything?
I'm sorry.
If they stay in business for 5 years, they don't end up having to pay us anything? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
And when they allow the residents to remain there, those that are appropriate and need all health care or whatever, is this a Medicaid rate that they're going to allow them to stay at? Is it going to, they're going to be able to bill Medicaid and whatever else so that the people that are not private pays would be allowed to stay there? I don't know that, did I read that fast? I don't know if that was after 3 years. So purchaser will agree to allow the residents existing at the facility to remain within the facility as long as their needs can be met in accordance with all state, federal, and healthcare regulations. It doesn't speak to what they would be paying. Is it assumed that they're allowed to stay at whatever their, is it Medicaid or whatever reimburses, or are they free to charge? I mean, I don't hear it, I don't see it in here unless it's someplace I don't see.
My recollection is that they would perform their own assessment of the residents and what their needs are, and that would be something they would handle internally.
Oh, I understand that you would assess their physical and medical capabilities. My question is, when we turn this over to them, are they free to charge anything they want, or will they be accepting the people that are there that are Medicaid people? You know, we know that within our community, we don't have many adult homes that accept Medicaid. And I'm interested to know, I don't hear it stated in here, that whatever their reimbursements are, these individuals that are there now will be allowed to stay financially.
That was the point of our discussion.
Is it stipulated in here someplace, is what I'm asking?
I don't see it stipulated in there, but I don't know if that would necessarily be our business.
Well, if we were talking about the people being able to stay, then, with all due respect, I think I can appreciate that there could be people who would, because of health issues, physical issues, may not be appropriate for the level of care here. I want to know if they are Medicaid eligible people, the non-private pays. Are we allowing this asset to transfer to someone where we have not put in writing that those people that are in the facility now will be allowed to stay? And over the course of the next 5 years, is this firm committing to accepting Medicaid eligible people? Before we turn
I can only tell you what they told us.
Well, I
Yes,
wanna
they
know-
want Medicaid eligible people. They have other plans that they certainly didn't go over with us entirely.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But yes, they wanted Medicaid people.
Then
Yes, they would
I
like
would ask
private
that it
pay
should
people.
be in this, it should be.
They have no problem taking Medicaid people.
I'm suggesting that it should be in a contract that we're allowing an asset to transfer over the course of 5 years, I'd like to know what is their commitment to the Medicaid eligible. We know that the majority, much more than the majority of the people in our adult home at the current time are not private pay. And I'd like to understand when I'm called to vote on this, is what are whoever's taking this over, what are their requirements? And are they looking to be a licensed adult home, or are they going to be licensed for something else?
As Rob just said, in regards to that, there's no such commitment.
So they have not committed for Medicaid, okay? And they have not.
They have not committed in here for Medicaid.
Okay,
And what they said to us, what I've just said to you,
I appreciate that.
They want
answer.
that.
Are they going to be, is it in here that what their licensed facility will be? Will it be an adult home, or what will it be? What are they opening?
And they're saying we'll take them.
I don't know, Rob, at this point, what we're allowed to say based on, because we can't speak for them.
Right, that's up to them.
They haven't committed in this proposal then what they're gonna operate here for 5 years to get it.
No.
No.
Wow.
Rob, if I can direct. Under that F, purchaser will agree to allow the residents existing at the facility to remain within the facility. Now, right now, many of them are Medicaid eligible. So that indicates to me that they're willing to look out for those Medicaid eligible people
Yes, it
that
does.
we turn over to.
It does. And what their concerns are, somebody all of a sudden becomes a different classification. What would be done with that person? So if a person goes from one type of care to another type of care, they have other facilities to be able to put them in a different type of care. And that's what I believe they're getting to is that. I mean, as long as they meet the standards, and Tim, can you tell us the standards for the country manor over there, what people have to be able to do?
It's very specific. They have to be constantly ambulatory as a whole.
Right. So my point of that is if they become different than that standard of care, then they would be eligible for some other place to go.
My question is there anything in, I don't see anything in here about the workers, the employees, is there any, was there, did I miss it?
In the very beginning, and that's why you guys have this, you know, just
Right,
to
I
look
like-
at it.
Right, I'm trying to digest, I'm
Number
listening to Rob.
4B. Number 4B addresses it.
Okay. I'd rather ask now than,
I mean, Mr. Mayor made a comment to us that they are a union, their facilities are union. I don't know what you call them, if it's a union shop. But I don't know I'm not sure what union it is. Gary?
I know that, and it's gonna take me a while longer to digest it, but from what I've seen so far, we've put in writing that we're making a commitment to forego any payments after 5 years, and we're paying them 18 grand a month.
No, we didn't put it right, they put it right.
Well, it's here.
Yeah.
So the questions that come up about the residents were a large concern. We're assuming they may take Medicaid, we're hoping they may take Medicaid, and actually there's nothing in here that will stop them from pricing them out, saying we're not taking that, we'll keep you if you pay this amount that you can't afford. I mean, they're being quite protected by this. Any question that was asked about what protections we have or those residents have is where we assume they're going to do that or something. There is nothing to stop them from, as soon as the ink's dry, to do something differently than we assumed if it's not in here. Correct?
Well, I guess you can assume whatever you'd like, but it says purchaser will agree to allow the residents existing at the facility to remain within the facility, as long as their needs can be met. What part of that says that they're not going to accept Medicaid people?
None, but what part says that they will? I mean, that, we have a
The
part.
entire F section says
No,
that.
it doesn't.
That says they will accept Medicaid people.
No, it doesn't.
Keep
This is existing
Keep the
residents.
existing,
existing.
At what price?
They'll
are you
allow
talking
them-
about other people that might be?
No, I'm
wanting to
talking
go?
about the people there is, I can say I'll keep somebody in my house and then next month double the rent. I still live by the letter of this contract. If I doubled the rent and they had to leave because they couldn't afford it.
I disagree.
Well, then could we consider having the language
Is there,
amended in there?
Did you put it in there?
It is in there. It says that I'll agree to allow the residents existing in the facility to remain in the facility as long as their needs can be met in accordance with all state and federal health care regulations. Existing residents stay. It doesn't say Medicaid or not Medicaid go. It says existing residents stay as long as their needs can be met.
I don't know. You're an attorney, but I would want more safeguards.
Well, it's a letter of intent, and the purchase, the asset purchase agreement will be probably 10 times as long as this is.
And also,
Hang on. Yeah.
okay, and I'm sure you're well aware of the fact that I was a little leery of this whole process, that there are a couple individuals that apparently saw some proposals and whatever, and we had 3 or 4, and I don't know what was there. I don't think the vast majority of us do. That makes me be a little leery.
Of
And now,
course.
I will go back. Now, interruptions aren't respectful, are they? I will go back to the request for proposals. I understand we did them in 2004, way before there.
Excuse me, though. We are discussing this right now. We aren't discussing request for proposals. Are there
I'm
any-
saying
are there any other questions in
This is
regards
part
to
of
what
the
you're seeking?
process of the
what
country
is it?
manor
What's your question?
proposal.
We're not talking about request for proposals. We're talking about this right now.
You don't want to hear
Is there
anything,
anything
maybe.
or language in here anywhere about the Meals on Wheels, whether they'll continue to repair them or?
No commitment on that.
I'm unable to hear the question.
The question was, is there any commitment in regards to Meals on Wheels?
And also, if we're gonna, or if they're gonna allow the residents to stay there, there's a donation fund that we have that's itemized. Is that gonna go to the residents? What have we done with that?
You mean residents' donations or other people's donations that?
Well, Tim has that on a separate account, and that wasn't addressed in here either.
The only assets, if you look at the bottom of page 1 and 2, the only assets are the land, the structures, the furniture, equipment, fixtures, used in the day-to-day business of operating it and providing services in the business and operating components. So it's not going to include any bank accounts. We don't give them any money.
Yeah.
So, if I understand this correctly then, if they stay there for 5 years, they pay nothing. The first year, we're gonna pay them $216,000. And they're not going to have to pay taxes. They're gonna ask the IDA to forgive taxes for 20 years. We don't know what they're gonna put there. So it's not like it's taking that property and turning it into tax-paying property, at least for 20 years. And we are going to turn over an asset worth $335,000 is what you told them they had to do? That's what they were told, they had to cover the appraised value.
That's the appraised price.
Right. And the fact that we're forgiving it over the course of 5 years, is that not giving away, that's not deemed to be giving away an asset when we allow it to be forgiven, or can someone speak to that?
The reason it's structured, that is the reason it's structured that way. The county, I think it's been stated here, is spending a lot of money to keep the facility open. This will stop those expenditures of funds directly, and this clause will protect the taxpayers from a situation where an asset would be turned over and then the owner could basically do what they wanted with it, which might present some gifting issues, and so the purpose of this is to prevent any such claim or any such outright transfer, which could be treated as a gift.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I could just follow, again, not having had an opportunity to read this before, there probably will be more questions that will come up if this voted on the meeting of the 11th, and we have to
Yeah,
get it
well,
all.
just so you know, we got this fax to us today.
This proposal,
Well, I appreciate that, but we know that it's been negotiated and discussed.
Yesterday.
But it's been negotiated and discussed over time, and some of you had an opportunity to have that. So we're saying that they're going to sign the promissory note and should, principal, for a 5-year period. If they have a sale or the closure of the facility, but they can keep it open as an anything? I mean, what is closure of the facility? When it ceases to be an adult home, or when it ceases to be what? I mean, do they open up a farmer's market in there, and is that considered being open? This doesn't really stipulate, I don't see anyway, what open means versus closure. Is closure when you cease operating an adult home? Or can you put something else in there? Could they open a day treatment program?
That's how we do it.
What?
If they close the facility, they became something else.
If they close an adult home, because I don't think it says in here that they're running an adult home.
Yeah, we can have those discussions with them as we develop a contract.
I would be afraid to approve a proposal when we ask to vote on a proposal that has that many open questions. And I think that in this process of negotiating that's been going on since last December or January, we're 6 months into it. And I would hope that we would have a better understanding of just what they're going to operate there and have them tell us what they're going to operate. It would be great to have them come on over and talk to the 17 of us.
But in any event, Mr. Chairman, if I may, the commitment to keep the residents there remains during the entire 5-year period.
I would like to.
This is a letter of intent
Yes,
If there's
that
no,
leads to a contract
correct.
Approved by the.
with more definitive language in it than the letter of intent is.
Yes.
And we're gonna look for greater definitions, and they're gonna look probably for greater definitions during that period of time. And then in the end, that contract may not get the 12 votes. Does this need 12 votes?
No.
No, this needs a simple majority,
Yeah.
the letter of intent.
Selling
But
the-
the final contract and the sale requires,
selling the property needs 12 votes.
And at what point does that happen? Just in the timeline in my head, we have this discussion now, and let's say on next Wednesday, this letter of intent is approved by 12 people. Can someone tell me in here what the
Now, it
time
only
is?
has to be approved by 9.
9, excuse me, 9 people.
Unless you do both things.
and it means that we're talking to these people exclusively for 45 days.
Yes, and I don't think they'll start their 45-day period until a contract is signed.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is just a letter of intent, says, yeah, we're going to enter into an agreement.
But then a contract is negotiated, I believe I heard Mr. Malone say, with his approval of the language in there. And then it comes back before us at another meeting for 12 votes. I would hope that.
well, I mean, it would go to committee to bring to the legislature.
I would hope that they would be entertaining the ability, this is a major asset, it's a major change in the provision of services within our county, that we should ask that a representative of this company come before the full legislature or before your committee where the rest of us can hear it and understand exactly what they plan on operating. And people are going to be asking us those questions, and based on the information tonight, I don't believe we can answer them.
Well, we can ask, I'm not sure whether they can come, but we can ask.
Well, I would ask you, Mr. Chairman, when you were selling the CHOP and those, you did bring the providers in to talk to you, and this is a
I said
major-
we can ask, I don't know whether they will
but I
come.
think that
Are there any other questions? Because I don't want somebody to get down.
All right. Tim, what's our current population?
30.
30. Since we capped it, we've gone from 32 down to 30?
Correct.
Yeah.
Tim, what is it costing us a year to keep that facility open?
Over the last 5 years, or
On an average in the last 5 years?
between 500,000 and 600,000.
So as far as the committees, it's got to be the 3 committees. I mean, Jim and I think Rob and maybe Jim have talked that if there was interest in doing this, that we would have a vote on what would it be, on the letter as well as the sale of the property at the same time? Rob?
You certainly can. And it's possible I can get an answer from council very quickly on whether this commitment is to continue to operate in its current use and whether they would be accepting Medicaid patients. And have that included in their letter of intent. They may very well modify it. So they may be able to vote on the entire thing.
could be also.
I don't think we should vote on anything
Is that
tonight.
accepting
So you
or
guys can read
maintaining?
it. What's that?
Accepting or maintaining the Medicaid patients they have now? There's a difference.
Well, this says maintain.
That-
And that's been the discussion.
But that's where, right, for 10 years, we've been wanting to make sure that the people there
Taking care
have a
of those
place
there.
here.
So, am I getting this correctly? Next Wednesday, we may be voting on this contract.
Remember, it's July, I don't mean Gary, it's July 11th, just so we're all,
Well, July, huh?
It's a week from now.
Okay.
2 weeks.
How long are we gonna get to look at the language of this contract before it comes up for
Well,
vote?
we are not going to make a vote in the committees tonight, as far as I'm concerned, so we'll have to have another committee meeting in order to discuss this and the questions you might have after seeing this.
So I guess you anticipate, though, at the next regular meeting, that we may be voting to sell this property.
Well, we anticipate, yes, we anticipate things. of
Will
that
we see
nature.
the contract before that committee meeting to review it?
Say that again?
Will we have an opportunity to have the contract in our hands before the committee meeting, to have an opportunity to review it?
That'll come from them, I think.
I mean, we would be accepting this letter of intent,
This is step one.
But we may do this.
and then if we do the letter of intent, if there's no interest in doing this, then we're not gonna waste their time. So if there is an interest in doing this, then we ask them and Rob to work together in regards to a contract and a sales agreement in regards to the property. Is that correct?
Just one quick point. As far as things not being here in writing, and I understand contracts can be much larger, but I sense that some of you are involved, get a little upset because we're asking these specifics. I mean, this is an asset. It's not only an asset, it's human lives. And when you're talking a real estate contract and these thick Medicaid provisions and things like that, it may take some time to digest. And understanding that some of you were part of the negotiation, I understand that they told you this and we told them that, but I just want you to keep in mind that 4 or 5 years ago, none of us, maybe from now, nobody involved with that thing may be sitting in this room, or none of us. So it will be left up to someone's interpretation, and it's not going to be good to say that, 4 years ago, we were in this room, and they said that they keep all these people at Medicaid rate.
I think what you need to understand is, this is a letter of intent. If you folks have questions, write them down, submit them. Can we submit them to you? Can we submit them to Jim? What do you want?
Whatever your process is.
To the committee?
So what we're gonna do is try to get clarification of their letter of intent.
On a couple items.
On a
Do you
couple
need a
of issues.
motion to table to, well, we weren't even gonna make a motion to,
There's no motion.
There's no motion.
yeah, John.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to suggest that in the future meetings that you put together in regards to this problem with this home, that one of the 3 legislators representing that area be on this committee so they can have their input into what is going on here.
Well,
I would like to suggest that.
Yeah, I think what's gonna happen, though, I think at this point now, is that this whole legislature is gonna be part of the process.
Well, I'm sure there's meetings, I think there might be meetings that might be over and beyond that. So if there are,
We've had meetings as
if
far
there
as-
are, I would suggest that one of the 3 be on that committee or be involved with making a decision. Thank you.
Yeah, we've had, as we've stated, we've had meetings with these folks. But our intention now is that here's a letter of intent. You guys are gonna take this home, you're gonna look at it, you're gonna have questions. You're gonna submit the questions I suggest to Mr. Wallace. And those questions that you have, we'll try to get answered if we can. And then from there, we'll go to, if there's interest, we'll go to a vote on the letter of intent. And then if there's that interest, then we'll go to ask for the contracts to be done and the sale of the property. But if there's no interest in the letter of intent, the process stops. And then maybe there'll be another process.
I would like someone to clarify for me 4C in terms of the 20-year abatement of property taxes. for that land. If the, again, not being an assessor, if you've got an appraised value of $300 and some $1,000, then can we have an estimate of what that might be for tax forgiveness, if you will, for 20 years? And is it implied by all the paragraphs that are above it, should they sell or transfer, that tax abatement doesn't go with that property, right? It's only to the people that we're dealing with now?
I believe that's the way the IDA works, their abatements, that, you
It's
know.
usually a 10-year plan, but,
Yeah.
you know, the idea is to prove this thing too.
The IDA has or has not? This has not even been approved
Not
yet.
also, Jim, they have to approve it.
That's what I'm saying.
Flat out.
We
County
have not
has
seen
nothing
this
to do with
as
that.
an IDA, so.
Yeah, I mean,
we would have
20-year abatements are,
It's
But,
usually,
I mean, I would assume that that's a lot of money, and I would appreciate somebody who's in the know would even do an estimate of what the taxes might be on something like this. If someone could do that for us and know just what it is that we're forgiving in without knowing exactly what this entity is going to be doing for our community. I just want to know what they're going to be doing, and therefore, what are we giving them these breaks for?
We're not forgiving anything. It's IDA would be.
Well, it's
We
my
don't have
community
the-
won't
we
be
don't
getting
have-
the taxes. So.
No, I understand that, but that's not our goal. We don't have to say over that.
Well, if we don't approve the resolution, it doesn't go to them necessarily. I'm trying to understand how.
let's
this
talk
works.
here, okay? These guys, chairman. Right now, there's no taxes being paid.
I understand, but the benefit of selling it would be that it could generate taxes. So I would like-
Absolutely, absolutely, and we looked at that when we were talking with these folks.
Did it estimate it, what the taxes would have been?
No, we can't foresee what the taxes within the towns are gonna be. I mean, you could do it now, but we don't know what a 20-year abatement's gonna mean. 10 years, they used to go, what, 50%, Jim, and then every year was 5%?
But this is 100% in this understanding.
That's what they're
It's
asking.
100% for 20
That's what it
years.
appears to be, yeah.
I would think the IDA would be reluctant to grant any kind of tax abatement if they aren't going to give some kind of an indication they're gonna be doing Medicaid patients.
That's a
I would
solution.
think, maybe I'm wrong.
or creating jobs.
So that's part of trying to clarify this letter of intent.
should businesses change hands or change of direction here, that abatement would not carry over to their new business. It would be specifically for the home itself.
If I could just ask a question on that, would it be?
Hang on a second, Mr. Mull.
Yeah, you have to remember that the operating effect of this clause, it's a contingency. So if the purchaser does not obtain that, they would then be free to walk away from the deal. That's all that it means. On the other hand, they can waive. And this is not anything that the county's involved in. The county cannot agree to forgive taxes. That's an IDA matter. It's exclusively in the hands of the IDA. We have no involvement in that process. And the county cannot forgive taxes. It's illegal. So, and that's why there are IDAs. So that'd be a matter handled between the proposed purchaser and the IDA. If they did not get what they wanted over there, then they'd be free to walk away. That's all
So
that it
let's,
means.
how much time do you folks want to be able to look at this, and then we could have more discussion?
See, at the end of next week, we got a holiday.
Yeah.
Would the end of next week be all right? Is that the 6th, by Friday at 5 o'clock? Have your questions?
Today's the 27th,
Bit too late, Rob?
Friday the 6th.
I mean,
Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think so.
I think that
Whatever
gives
you say.
people ample time.
Whatever you
Mr.
say.
Chairman, will you invite them in prior to that, or to come to that session?
We could talk to them. I don't know, like I say, I don't know if they'll come in because of a letter of intent, but we can ask.
Well, if it's going to readily become very quickly a contract, I would hope that they can be willing to do that.
Well, we're going to have a meeting after the 6th to discuss whether people within this body are interested in pursuing this letter of intent. If they're not, then it's over. I would think they'd want to know from us first whether we were interested in pursuing this letter of intent.
There's too much vagueness.
Make a motion.
Yeah, I mean, it's not vague to me, but.
It is to me. But you've been party to it, so that.
We don't need a,
Okay,
what is it?
so we just send all our questions to Jim, right? That we want,
Yeah, and now the other thing is, make sure you follow through, because if you have questions and you do it email, make sure you got it. If you have questions, you do it in writing, make sure you hand it to them. We don't want any of these things where, oh, geez, I sent you all these questions and you didn't get them. Or,
What did you say, make sure we do what?
make sure, if you send an email to Mr. Wallace, that you call him up and say, did you get my email? Or, I mean, obviously, if he says received, then you got it.
We have to send it to Jim.
Yeah.
I send it to everybody, so everybody's got the same.
Chairman.
That would be a good statement that Mr. Chairman Bowman just made there, because that way everyone, every legislator knows.
Well, if
What?
people want to send it to every legislator, fine. You should copy the
You can't say,
chairman
well, I
of the
sent it to
committee.
Jim, I said it to
Right,
them.
no, that's what I'm saying.
That's where you end up with problems.
Carbon copy,
It's fine to do that.
CC,
Just gotta-
rest of the
I don't care who it is.
CC everybody. That way if they,
Okay, so July 6th, please have your questions, your notations in. We could entertain a meeting. How much time would Rob and Jim do we need to entertain the questions? The sooner you get the questions, that'd be fantastic.
And if you get them to them and get the answers, the sooner we get the questions, the better.
So we'll try to have a meeting sometime after the 11th.
Get the questions in by Monday.
I would like access to anything that we have received from any of the other firms, be able to review the file on what's come from the other three people, anything that we received in writing or any telephone notes about the discussions if it's possible.
No telephone notes.
Rob has
Smart.
requested, you mean the 1st, July 1st, your 2nd?
Well, today is Wednesday, how about questions in by next Monday? That's plenty of time, and then we can get them answered for you by the end of the week, you'd be in a position to do something if you want to. If you wait until a week from Friday, we won't get anything. Won't get any done time for the 11th, it's too late.
Does it have to be done on the 11th?
right, I'm just gonna
Can we
say,
have a special meeting or delay it to the next meeting? I mean.
we waited 10 years on this, can we pick
We
another?
have 2 meetings in July.
Well, that's right, Rob says you got a live one, so.
When's our next scheduled meeting? After the 11th?
15th,
After the 11th?
15th of August,
Should we call a special?
We're not having a second meeting in July?
correct.
Can you call special? Of course you can call.
Yeah, you can call.
I mean, I think it,
All right, let's go by Monday the 2nd, July 2nd, have your, by 4 o'clock, have your questions.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask to be able to review the file of all proposals that have been received thus far, or any other written communications in the CAD, and if there's any telephone conversation, I would like to be able to review that.
I have no telephone conversation, I'm getting smart in my own age.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I have no telephone notes.
Is that something that I'm allowed to see?
You don't exist.
No, the written, any written communications we received.
Yeah, sparse.
Or communications back, communications back.
Yeah.
slow down, exactly.
Can we go?
Slow down.
You think they let me make a motion? Can I adjourn?
Oh, I know.
They don't get the most of the nuts.
No, that's, no,
Close it down?
Oh, Bernie put that.
Okay, is there any, are you guys opposed? Are you guys opposed to the July 2nd?
Vice Chairman,
4 o'clock?
4 o'clock, July 2nd? Okay.
his name's got his.
That's all your questions,
I
right?
can't spell his last
Sure.
name.
Any questions on this
About the guy in the-
proposed letter of intent?
Questions, concerns?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
did you respond to my question?
Can I respond to your question? Yeah, I have to talk to Rob about it because there's some things that might have to be foilable, so I have to.
I would have to, you want me to vote on it, Mr. Chairman, if I might? This is in a position of respect, I would like to challenge that reply, because I believe that I'm being asked to review a proposal from one of 4 people that have been communicating with this county. And in order to have a very informed opinion, I would like to be able to review what you have received from the other 3 entities, and to suggest that... Mr. Chairman, may I finish?
No, we have to
I
look
cannot
at in
finish.
regards to what it is that we can give somebody.
I am, as a
That's all that we're
legislator, Mr. Chairman,
I'm happy that you are.
thank you, I'm glad. as a legislator, in order to have an informed vote, maybe no one else in the room is concerned with seeing it. I'd like to see what we have received and from whom we've received it. And any communications written, if there's no documentation.
Okay, well, then I'll tell you now, send a FOIA request.
I have to FOIA.
I was gonna ask him what it is that we could do, but as far as the concern is now, send a FOIA request
And will
and
the
then you can
FOIA
do
be
it.
returned before we're required to make, form our questions?
Before the second?
Yeah.
I don't know, Rob, how long is the FOIA request?
We respond within 5 days, and then indicate at that time how many days,
Up to 20.
up to 20 days in order to supply the documents, and it depends on the size of the request, how many documents we have to go through, how thick the files are. We have to review each document and see whether it's confidential or not.
Mr. Chairman, when we talk
I mean,
about.
that's the issue, whether some of these are.
The other entities that expressed an interest never got to this level.
I don't know that, I want to see what they got, Dennis. I want to see, I know that.
They never got to this level.
Well, VHS did send us a letter,
The VHS you have.
but people have seen it, but if you
To
want.
suggest that we can't have that information prior to voting on this.
If there is information within the files that is information that regards their business, it's not your business, then yeah, we have to look at
I'm
that.
being asked, you selected one out of a pile of 4 and suggested.
No, we didn't. This is it. This is all we've got.
This is the pile.
Well, I want to review the file and to suggest that we can't, that we have to.
I didn't suggest that you can't. I'm suggesting that the attorney has to look at things to make sure that we're not giving out anything we could be sued on.
Well,
Because things come in confidentially.
I think that's empowering a non-elected official to decide what I as an elected official should be able to see. And I'm doing it with the utmost respect in disagreeing with you, Mr.
Well, you can disagree because, you know, I expect it.
Chief legal
There's,
counsel.
okay, take a look at the law. You know what we're doing. We've been upfront and fair.
I believe Mr. Freeman said that this was supposed to be treated as.
Is there any other for Ways and Means, Human Resources, and County?
Yeah, Ways and Means has a ton, Pat, but the others are done.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn county property? Motion. Second? All in favor? Aye.
Motion. And Lonnie and Jean.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Sorry, Kurt. I was trying to write and then. No, I know. No, I just do it.
All those in favor of Human Resources?
You're not even close to that. Oh, no.
We going back?
Sit here.
You stay here now?
Sit.
You got a agenda for just Ways and Means?
Yes.
Want me to pass them out? How's that? Always pass them out for you. Come back.
Dennis, one.
Well, I think I'm allowed to make motions to get out of here.
We lost by one vote.
Okay, number one. Okay, number one is retirement reporting. Jim?
Yeah, this will be for, this is something we have to do. It'll be for several legislators and appointed officials. It'll be done at our July 11th meeting, basically giving the standard workday for those legislators and appointed officials.
Motion.
Second. Motion to second.
Okay, we have a motion, first and a second, discussion.
I don't know that I have in my file what the hours or days that we'll be accepting for these individuals, but I think it was informative when the DA indicated that his office is actually working 7 hours a day, and I would suggest that our resolution should say 7 hours a day if that's what's being required to work. I also would question why we have other positions. I think I saw at one point we had the Board of Elections, and they were in for 6 hours a day, and I don't understand why that would be a 6 hour a day to be full-time. We recognize that those, whatever we put down, can be no less than 6 to be considered full-time. But if we're truly expecting the people to work a 35-hour work week, I would suggest that the resolution should reflect what we expect them to work. If we expect them to work a 6 hour day, I guess we should be upfront with that there's consistency between what they're working and what they're being reported. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Will we know the hours that are being reported in the positions before the meeting?
Jim?
Yeah, that comes in the resolution.
Do we have them tonight as you're voting on them?
Do we have what tonight?
The positions that are involved and the hours that are considered full-time?
Well, maybe I need to explain this. We're, as a committee, are voting to move this to the legislature. And you'll have that information prior to your vote with the legislature.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I thought we're voting also on what constitutes a standard workday work week. Is it 2 resolutions we're doing, or is it 1?
One resolution.
And does it define what the standard hours day work week is for these positions?
As stated, yes.
So we won't see it before the 11th?
You'll have it that Friday before.
Do you have it in front of you now, Mr. Wallace?
Absolutely,
Would you share a copy of it before I leave tonight?
absolutely.
Is it the draft one, Jim?
Yes,
That's in my packet?
yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approved transfer for highway department. And what is this transfer?
From grinder rental to supplies, $3,600. This was approved in the highway committee also.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
Anyway.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Third one is approved contributions to the town of Russia assessment litigation. Rob, if you could explain that.
The county has had a policy in the past where if a township is sued seeking a reduction in its assessment, and if all of the taxing jurisdictions agree to contribute proportionately to the cost of litigation, the county has agreed to make such a contribution in the past. And that's the nature of this request. Frequently, the request is made in advance. This request will be made at the conclusion of the lawsuit, so you know exactly what the costs are, as well as what the settlement of the case is. I don't have that in front of me, but I think that's
It's been our policy
in the materials.
in other years to approve these. The question was just asked is, can Bruce vote on this? Or?
Bruce would probably abstain, so he's the assessor in the town of Richard, so I'd recommend an abstention.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention? Is there anything more for Ways and Means?
Yeah, we have one more that Kurt and I would like to bring up very quickly, that surfaced today.
Yeah, the IT department has our part-time worker's gonna be stepping down, and the current salary is $15.32.
Yes.
And we'd like to post it at $16.25. I think that the rate's a little low for that job. I think Joanne spoke.
And that's the prorated hourly amount for the current position.
Correct.
We have a point of order.
I'm on the IT committee, it's the one committee I'm on. I don't know that there was ever any meeting to discuss this. I'm not alerted to this at all.
I just got it, the email.
I would think that it should first come before our committee.
I would just, well, we could do that. She wanted to post it, that's why I thought I'd bring up the Ways and Means, because it wasn't changing
If they don't have
salary.
to approve it, then I guess there's no issue.
Yeah, I think-
If it's in the budget, maybe they'll have to approve it.
Okay. I think, Kurt, you probably should have a meeting on it, because your committee might not approve it, so in that case.
Sorry about that. That's my fault.
Fine, yeah, fine. I think it was just a change in the salary. That's all.
However,
$24.89.
you can sign off on a resolution. So there probably should be discussion in regards to this, what it is you're trying to do.
Oh, no, I gotta bring it back up, because I just shut it down.
And why was it going to 50? I mean, it's almost $1,000.
They just, no, it'll be more than 1,000. I think it was 90 cents an hour. would be just shy too.
I wrote down 15,032 to 16,025.
No, $15.32, Pat?
Oh,
Oh,
that makes a big
that's
difference.
I thought you were 1,000.
Yeah, I thought it was thousands too. I was like, oh, wow.
I apologize.
No, it's an hourly rate.
Hourly rate.
Sorry about that.
And then it goes to 1625?
That's what she's proposing. I haven't had a discussion, I just read the email. I assume, did she speak to Sam?
Well, very late.
That's why I thought,
Very late.
yeah.
And I wasn't sure, Curtis, she was gonna come to you tonight or wait.
What's the title?
Computer operator?
Computer operator?
I don't think that the Ways and Means Committee certainly wants to take this up.
Makes sense.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Wait,
Plus,
Get more.
just, we put in your box today, Bernie put in your box today the annual report of the budget officer. As we mentioned earlier, we'll be having the bids on the 10th, and we'll go over them at 6:30. We'll also review this at 6:30 on Wednesday. That way it gives people time to look at it.
Mr. Russell, there's also a couple more transfers with the Homeland Security grant. Within the Homeland Security grant, I don't think you wrote this letter to the right people, so. But he wants to transfer $13,000 from.
Who does,
salary
Vern?
account within there.
Bernie, who does?
Sheriff.
Did-
To other equipment for the narrow gauge and $15,000.
No, this is Ways and Means.
Transfer.
No.
Actually, I think it's only one of these.
Vern, can you restate that?
Yes, $13,014.34 from Homeland Security grant salaries to Homeland Security grant other equipment. Actually, only $11,000 goes to other equipment, and $1,199 goes to miscellaneous.
What's that for?
And then $13,000 from telephone to other equipment as well. That'd be for the radios, the near.
We need a motion. Second?
Second.
Who made the motion?
Jimmy and me.
Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
System.
Opposed? Carries. Anything else under Ways and Means?
Now I'll adjourn.
Motion to adjourn in Ways and Means by Dutch, seconded by Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. There you go.
We done?
Any other committee meetings?
No.